Welcome back to the check-in. This week we're checking in with someone so cool. Tough is literally her middle name. She's arguably the best right back in the world. She's Lyon and England defender Lucy Bronze. Lucy, hi, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
No, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. The sun's shining, so can't complain.
Yeah.
I've got to ask first of all, where are you locked down and who are you in lockdown with, if anyone?
I'm in lockdown in Manchester, luckily. I could have easily been stuck in France, but I prefer to be in Manchester with one of the girls, and I'm with my dog, which is really good for me. If I was in France, it would have been all alone. So it'd be nice to be able to get out with the dog a lot.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of everyone with pets at the moment, I have to say. Like you say, you're based out in France, obviously playing for Lyon. When did you leave there, and what was the situation in France when you left?
Well, it was funny because one of our games had just been called off. So they give us the weekend off originally. It's been a long weekend. Give us the weekend off, and then the lockdown happened in France within a couple of days of that. So they said, look, just stay where you are for now. There's no point coming back. And then kind of a week later, because UK's kind of been behind the rest of Europe, it was kind of a week or so later that the lockdown happened in the UK as well. So I kind of knew it was coming, but I prepared to come home for the weekend. So yeah, I didn't exactly bring everything that I needed to kind of be stuck in England for a month or two, but it is in my house. I am in my actual house that I have in England.
So what have you got with you, or what have you had to buy? Because I imagine as well, even just casting our minds back to the beginning of the lockdown, I remember going for a walk the evening it was announced and being physically cold and bundled up, and now it's pretty sunny and blue skies everywhere. So have you had to do some emergency online shopping?
Yeah, definitely. I had to get onto Nike and get them to send me a bunch of things, because obviously I'm doing a lot of training, especially all the shorts. This week I've had to invest in some vests, which is quite rare for England, but because we're doing so much training at home on our own, it's getting a bit hot. So a lot of sportswear, that's for sure. And footballs. Funny enough, I have footballs in my house, but the dog's been at them. So I had to order some new ones just to make sure I had a proper ball to be able to kick about in the garden.
Oh wow, gosh, yeah, that's the thing with the dog, isn't it? They've got in there. How is training for you? What does that look like? Obviously, you've got some balls, you've got some vests, but what else have you got to keep you fit, and how are you going about maintaining your fitness?
I think because I knew the lockdown was kind of coming, I prepared anyway. So I'd bought a few bits of equipment in the house, turned my spare bedroom into a kind of a mini gym at the moment. So I'm looking at, I've got a bike in some kind of weights. It does look like a miniature gym. My back garden as well. Last year, because I'm not home so much, I turned it into AstroTurf because it was getting hard to keep up with the grass and cutting the grass properly. So I've actually got AstroTurf in the garden now.
Perfect.
Exactly. And I've just had a tech ball delivered. So it's a bit like a ping pong field, but it kind of curves at the edges.
Right.
Yeah, it's like playing table tennis, but with football.
Perfect. So you kind of
hours of fun with that, because obviously the weather's been fantastic, so being outside a lot, so it's been pretty perfect.
do you feel then? I mean, you seem quite energized by the way you're training in the setup you've got at home. Do you feel quite happy with the setup and not too concerned about where you'll be when football does resume?
Yeah, I know I'm quite lucky that I kind of sorted that setup up quite quickly. I'm quite a motivated person anyway, so I quite enjoyed the training. I think as the weeks go on, it is going to get harder to keep the same kind of motivation. But the first couple of weeks, it's been quite good, and the football schedule's been so long. I went from the Champions League final last year. I had 2 days off before doing the prep for the World Cup. Then it was the World Cup. Then it was a week or two off, and then it was straight back into pre-season. It's probably what my body's needed after years of just continually playing.
Yeah, it's the kind of, you wouldn't necessarily choose it to be this way, but by being forced to have a break and just do the work, it must feel quite good. I know you've been out with injury. Is this, in a way as well, this time useful for you in recovering fully from that before you're back out on the pitch? Because there's no temptation or perhaps just a rush job to get you back out there. You can take the time properly.
Yeah, well, definitely, because initially we had actually rushed to get back. So that weekend, that game that had been called off, I was just about ready to play. But it was kind of I was going to play because it was a really big game, but it was a risk that I could have hurt myself even more. I wouldn't have been at 100%. So yeah, it kind of gave me a few weeks to really get that right. So I do feel, I'm fully 100% now, and the injury's kind of gone. But it was an injury that I'd got from just playing too much anyway. It was nothing specific. It was just my muscles were telling me, "You're tired, Lucy. Go and have a rest." So yeah, I think this whole situation, I'm kind of looking at the silver lining and the bright side of it. That is a difficult time for everybody, but you can kind of get something out of it, hopefully.
I'm assuming then you've been in close contact with your coaches, with your physios as you get back fit. How's that working for you within your club and England, actually?
It's good. We've got WhatsApp groups going for both club and country. The club ones every single morning, because they're an hour ahead as well. Of some time, and I've already got 15 messages with, what's the schedule for today, the exercises that everyone's doing, and sometimes there's little competitions. So I'm not gonna lie, I have put that on mute because it keeps waking me up every day. But I do read the messages. The doctor at Lyon as well is really sweet. He messages every single player every single day, and the message just says, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Every single day. I'm not gonna lie, I've got more messages now than I do normally when I'm just playing. I feel like I'm busier.
It's a lot more sort of social admin, isn't it? Keeping up with the WhatsApps and getting a bit of like thumb ache, I find. But it's all good. It's good to be in contact. And I love that the doctor is just sending that message. It's so simple, but it must just make you feel like, oh, you care. Now, you've recently as well become a member of the FIFPro Global Player Council, kind of stepping into a more leadership role in the wider game as well as the women's game. What made you decide to join the council?
Jodie Taylor was part of the council anyway, and I get on really well with Jodie. It was actually, she kind of nominated me, to be fair, and I am really, driven to help change women's football, to help push it. And I think as my profile's kind of grown, it's only right that I kind of use that profile to help the game. So it's definitely something that I've always wanted to do is to kind of give back. I see it as a great way to be able to help, to share my opinion. And I think the whole part of it as well is, the collective is stronger than the individual. No matter who that is. You see on the male side, players like Vincent Kompany, huge players, but as a collective, he's going to be bigger with the players around him, and to be able to be the men and the women together and share our experiences and to support each other through that, similarly to what we did with the England team and the Premier League players, just shows a great kind of turn of force, and that everything's just better as a collective. And so far, I've only been part of it for a few weeks, and this kind of pandemic happened. So it's been quite crazy, but I've enjoyed being part of it, and hearing different people's stories and trying to make a difference and trying to help has been really important to me. It's keeping me busy, but I'm definitely enjoying it.
Are you concerned at all about the longer term impact of COVID-19 on the women's game? Because I know FIFPro released a paper themselves on the potential impact it could have, and their concerns in that, the growth and evolution of the game, it's not in the sort of strong financial position that the men's game is. So it could have a much bigger impact when you look at the long-term viability of it.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to look at every business and say now that the long-term effect is going to be huge. I think in women's football, when we're the ones who are involved in it, we can kind of see that it's probably going to be hit harder. Like you say, the men's game is financially more stable. They have more finances coming in, but equally they took a bigger financial hit now than the women's have. But I think the thing with the women's football for me, I started in my early 20s not getting paid. We've got a lot of players who came from that and who know how to fight through hard times and to know how to push and grow that game. All those players are still involved, so no matter what happens, we've kind of got those players still there who've been through that already. Whereas you look at the men's football, whatever they're going to have to do, you're not sure whether the clubs and the players necessarily experience that big drop, whereas we kind of know what that big drop is like. We know what it's like to be there, and we know what it takes to bring it back up and to push the profile, and what it really takes to really dig deep and help out in whatever way.
That's such a great way to look at it. In terms of the Olympic postponement, was Team GB something that you were head down aiming for this year, and how has that affected your plans?
I wasn't part of it for the London 2012, and then we qualified for Rio, but weren't passed on the accreditations and what have you to play. So I don't know, I feel like that was a really missed opportunity. So I was definitely excited to have this chance. I'd say I'm kind of getting towards the end of my career as well, and these are things that, once every 4 years, it doesn't come around that often, so I can't imagine I would have another opportunity to play in Olympics. It's something that I've grown up watching, not really the football as much, but the athletics and kind of the whole occasion. It's something really special to me, so I was definitely excited to try and be part of it. Obviously I wasn't picked yet, but I think even if it's postponed for however many months or years, you're still going to want to be part of it. But ultimately it's the health and safety of the athletes that come first, and obviously the fans and the supporters, and the health and safety of the people working at the event. I think that's got to be a huge thing, and that's got something that's got to be taken into account, as needs thousands of both volunteers as well to just run these events. So it's important that the health and safety of all those people come first.
On sort of body management and injury management, I know you're obviously coming back from injury now and looking like you've got through that wear and tear. There's this interesting article doing the rounds today, the Daily Telegraph, reporting that the FA is launching a series of studies to understand why women and female players suffer more ACL injuries than male players. I think 12 players across 23 clubs in the top 2 tiers of English women's football this year have done their ACLs. Women are reportedly 8 times more likely than men to tear an ACL, according to the research. I know you've not done your ACL, but you have had multiple knee operations and knee problems. How, I guess, important is it, and a little bit a testament to where the game is, that the FA are now looking into this as a matter of real seriousness, because it's something that a few years ago was just kind of, we knew it was happening, but there was not any real major concern for it, I think, publicly.
Yeah, I think there's always been a concern in players' heads, definitely. I think we always have known as female players that we are more prone to it. I actually did my dissertation at university on the effects of the ACL injuries in football players, so I got really obsessed with knee injuries for a long time. But I think now that the game's growing, you obviously want your best players on the pitch, and the ACL injury is kind of the injury that keeps you out for the longest, bar a couple, really. But it is the most frequent injury in women's football. So I think, as much research as possible to kind of combat it. What can we do to? It's not necessarily the rehab; it's the prevention. I think it's probably something that you're never going to find a 100% cure on how you're going to prevent an ACL injury. Sometimes these things just happen, but it's definitely important that we try and focus on that to help change the women's game a little bit, so that we can have more players fit on the pitch. We don't have the biggest leagues in the world, France, England, Germany, even in the US. The leagues aren't huge because, the kind of quantity of the top players aren't really there. So the players that we do have there, we need to make sure that we keep them fit, keep them on the pitch, and that we keep them playing at the top level, so that we have these great games of football every week.
Yeah, and 12 across 23 clubs, that is a huge proportion, really, isn't it, actually, when you think about it. Finally, Lucy, I know you're training really hard and obviously sourcing new clothes as the weather changes, but what else are you doing in this strange time to keep yourself busy? Because you can't be training 24/7.
No, I've tried to paint my garden fence, but it's becoming difficult. I don't know how people do it. I've kind of got the far side done and the near side done, but the two in between are just staying the colour they are at the minute, because I don't know, it's quite mind-numbing for me to just keep painting it. It's a difficult technique. My arms are aching. But a lot of home improvements, putting up pictures. I had a go at, filling the wall, which was interesting because I took down some shelves. So I had to put the colour in, shave it down, paint over it. So I've become a bit of a DIY specialist these times, like a few people probably, home improvements.
We walked down our street the other day to go for a walk. I suddenly noticed, I was like, a lot of these front fences have changed colour in the last few weeks, mine included. Lucy, it's been absolutely great to talk to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and look after yourself and stay healthy, and hopefully you'll be back out playing for Lyon very soon.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you.